If you're in your 20s and you feel behind with money, I want you to watch this video. I hit a £150,000 net worth by the age of 29, and it wasn't crypto, it wasn't some sort of luck, it wasn't a windfall that I received from some long lost relatives. It was 5 simple methods that I did for years. I repeated them consistently, and I'm going to show them with you today so that you can also achieve the financial freedom you're seeking. And if you're interested, then keep on watching. Also, hi, if you're new here, my name is Francesca. I'm a VP at a multinational company, and I make personal finance videos for young professionals so that we can demystify this whole financial jargon, and I can help you achieve your financial freedom, whatever goals you work towards, and really make your money last longer and last more and serve you better, because you work so hard already, so your money should also be working as hard as you do. Number one, the first thing that I did, and I recommend this to every single person that I coach and that I work with and that I, kind of take on as a client, is that you need to automate your investments. You need to pay yourself first. That means before you pay for other things, like for example the non-essential stuff. And again, here I'm not talking about your rent. This, of course, you have to pay your rent if you don't want to be homeless, but what we're talking about here is that if you prioritize spending on other things that other people and other businesses make, let's say I bought this owl. There's an owl making company that produces this. I paid them. But what makes it great is that I paid myself first. So I invested in my ISA. I'd put aside some money for my emergency fund. I'd put money into my pension, etc. So after all of this, that's when I bought this owl for myself. So that's how you want to be thinking. You don't want to sponsor other people's businesses before you sponsor your business, let's say your own growth and your own future. And one thing that I started doing now is actually, after you calculate, the first thing you want to do is you calculate your essential and non-essential expenses. And then after you automate any money that you want to be investing on a monthly basis. So every single brokerage account, I use Trading22 is my favorite one. They enable like a direct debit setup, so you can set it up, forget it, and never think about it. After you do all of that, so that should be the second thing that you do once your paycheck hits. Then you want to, and this is something I've started to do recently. I've started moving across the money that I know I'm going to need for my non-essential expenses, so my fun money, into another account. So in my case, I use Revolut. You could use Monzo. You could use whatever other kind of like more online brokerage account you may want to use. And so I move that money to my Revolut. So at any given time, I only ever have, let's say, max £1,500 in there, because that's roughly what my non-essential expenses come up to. And so I just use that on the day-to-day. So I will go out for a restaurant, I pay with that. I go out for drinks, I pay with that. I go to cinema, I pay with my Revolut. And so that money is finite. That's the beautiful thing about it. So it acts as like a measure for me to know when I'm nearing the point in which I don't have any money left, because the money is near on that account specifically is nearing zero. And so that's like an extra way to add an extra level of control and ensuring that you're not overspending unintentionally on non-essential expenses. So automate, move across to the money from non-essential expenses onto a separate account, and just use that to draw down on a monthly basis. The second thing that I did that has helped me massively over the years is calculating what my baseline budget is. And so this is really not sexy, is probably one of the unsexiest things you can do. However, I love it. So, anyone interested in knowing how to get to my heart, this is how you do it, is by tracking your monthly expenses. But jokes aside, I've been very diligent with tracking pretty much any money, any pound that leaves my bank account and goes into someone else's businesses, basically. So AKA I used to buy stuff. For probably 6 years now. So I have a lot of data that has compounded. And so what I do every single year, and I share this in my video, which I'm going to link here, at the end of each year, I kind of look back into the past 12 months and I see, was I below or above expectations on what I was supposed to spend on an annualized base on this specific thing, and then use that as a baseline budget for the following year, and also tweak it, right? So let's say last year, for example, I traveled a lot, which was amazing, and I, on an annualized base, it's as if I'd spent £10,000 yearly. So that comes up to £800 per month, roughly. That's a lot, right? And while I have no regrets, I also, chose to kind of dial it down a little bit this year. So my monthly budget for that category specifically is now £500, which comes down to 6,000 something pounds, right? £6,500 on an annualized base. And so this is kind of like the thing that you want to start doing and creating your baseline budget to know how much money you need and you want also. So the split between the two to live the life that you would like to achieve. And this number is fundamental because we're not going to go into it right now, but this is how you then calculate your financial freedom number, your financial independence number. The only way to do that is you have to know how much money you need to live in order to then calculate what is the number, the total pot number that you need to be invested in the market to be able to draw down on it without it being deplenished. So I know this is a lot. We're not going to go into it right now. I can do a separate video on fire and all of that in a separate instance. But yes, creating a baseline budget, knowing how much money you actually need to survive. Now, the third thing is going to be no surprise to anyone, but I invested in some of the most boring things you can find. So, a globally diversified exchange traded fund, or ETF, as the friends call it. And I've stayed the course. Like, this is the secret. And again, people want investing to be exciting and thrilling, and trust me, you don't want it to be. If it feels exciting and thrilling, it also means that on the flip side, it feels dreadful and scary when things go south. And trust me, even with this very globally diversified portfolio, very risky, yes, in the sense that I'm 100% into equities and stocks, but also foolproof in the sense that if we take a very long-term time horizon, we know that the market is going to go up by, let's say, anything between 9, 10, 11%, right? So even with this kind of like safe proof setup, my portfolio went down a lot in, I think it was 2021, and that I ended the year like minus 20%, something like that. And again, we've all seen the massive swings of 2020, right? We were all there for that. And then yes, it had a massive kind of ramp up on the back of that, and my portfolio is now up 83% in the past 6 years. So just to say, all through it all, right? I stayed consistent. I stayed invested. I did not withdraw money, apart from one big expense that I had to do. But apart from that, I did not withdraw my money. I didn't panic sell. I just stayed the course. And actually, I invested more when I could, when I had some spare cash. Of course, at the time, I wasn't earning as much as I do now. But any spare cash that I had, I bought more stuff because it was essentially a sale, right? Like, the stock market was cheaper than we know its true value to be. And so I was just trying to make as much money and profit of that as I could. And this is, by the way, side note, this is the exact strategy that private equity funds, so very sophisticated institutional investors, utilize to make their investments. They have what is called as dry powder, or uninvested capital, undeployed capital that just sits in their bank accounts, let's say, and is ready to be deployed when they find a cool company that they want to buy up. So same way, us investors, retail investors, can think about our cash and stash aside some of it for when a good opportunity. And again, in this case, I would encourage you to think about market wise, right? So when there's general negative sentiment that kind of leads investors to sell up, thereby drawing down and driving down the cost of these ETFs. And so it's a good opportunity for you, smarter investor, to buy in and kind of make the most of it. And I think I can become better at this, to be honest. And for 2026, I want to have more of a strategy for how to stash away, like strategically some cash to buy up more opportunities, basically. But this is how you want to think about your money. You stay invested, of course, and you, even when you can, you buy up more when the market goes down. Like, that's your signal. Kind of like, you want to rewire your brain to think this way rather than, oh, the market is going down, I'm panicking, everything is shit, let me withdraw my money. That's the wrong way. This is how you lose money, funny enough. Fourth thing that I did is I created an emergency buffer, an emergency fund, a cash buffer, whatever you want to call it, a rainy day fund. Now, bear in mind, people will say, and I also recommend it for most people, to save up at least 3 months of your essential bare minimum, and if you want to be more cautious, essential and non-essential expenses in a high yield savings account, or basically an account where it's not invested but it's giving you at least, you want to look for something that gives you at least like a 3.5 or 4% interest. So yes, I stand by that, and I think for most people that's the correct strategy. I personally take a bit of a more aggressive, risky stance, whereby I don't think I need as much money to just sit there uninvested for just emergency purposes. Having said that, though, I always look to have at least like 3-4K just sitting there, because I know that this is the amount of money that if I want to make a bigger purchase, for example, I just paid for a personal finance course because I'm also upskilling myself, and that cost me £1,500. I have a business coach that also cost me £1,500, right? So sometimes I do make these bigger investments, and I will want to have some cash available. I don't necessarily want to go into credit card, like use my credit card, because I know that anyways I'm going to have to pay back, right? So even if I delay that by 30 days, in my mind, I still need to have that money already saved aside, if that makes sense. So have that, and also try and avoid as much as you can, like the bloody pest. Is that a word? Yes. High interest debt. Now, what that means is that I'm not talking about, for example, if you have a mortgage, hopefully you're able to negotiate that fairly good. Nowadays, interest rates on mortgages are pretty decent, I would say. Like I'm thinking about Italy in my case, because I'm a little bit more familiar with that market, but I know that people can get 2.5% interest, so pretty good. I'm more talking about any sort of like loans, consumer debt loans. So that's your credit card loans. Oh my God. If you ever look at the APR on those cards, it's insane. It's going to give you a heart attack. Like they charge you like 29-30% if you're late on paying them back. So you don't want to be in that situation. You definitely don't want to be in that situation. So avoid that as the pest. Avoid any type of I don't know, study loans if you can. Like, I know study loans are like, and I'm not talking about student loans, like student loans when you take for undergrad, for example, or also masters. They're pretty decent in the sense that if you were to, you're fine paying the minimum, because most people in the long term are not going to be able to even pay back ever. So just basically pay the minimum that you have to, because anyways, HMRC is going to take it from your salary anyways, and just be done with it. But I'm just talking about anything that, I don't know, what do people take loans for? Sometimes sustenance loans. Basically, stay away from anything that has a higher interest than what the market can considerably give you in that same amount of time. And we know that the stock market is, on average gives you back 10-11%. If there's something that is, more higher than that, you want to stay away as much as you can. Number 5, last but not least, I grew my income. Luckily, with career progressions, I got 2 raises. I got 5 raises, but I got 2 promotions. And crucially, though, the main thing is, as I was increasing my income, I made sure that my percentages that I was investing in saving also went up with it. And so that's why I always say, when you're budgeting, when you're allocating your money, you have to think in terms of percentages. You cannot think in terms of amounts, right? And to give an example, if I have, let's say for simplicity's sake, I used to earn £1,000 net, let's say, like net of everything after tax. So I decided I want to allocate to investing 30% of that, so £300 per month, go into my account. If I was thinking in terms of amounts, so of money, so if I was saying, okay, I invest £300 per month, the moment in which my income, let's say, doubles, like 2 years later, I'm now making £2,000 per month, I'm still investing £300. That is not 30%, that is 15% of my income, right? So now I'm making more, but I'm investing the same amount, because I know in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm just investing £300 per month. No, what you want to do is, if instead you had said, oh, I invest 30% of my income, that £300 would have now been £600, right? Because you've doubled it, and now 30% of 2,000 is £600. So this is how you want to be thinking. And if you don't do that, and I speak with so many people that don't do it, what happens is that they are under investing consistently. They're not making the most of their money. They still stay stuck in a mentality of maybe, or like amounts that worked for when they were earning less. But now that they're making more, they should adjust that. It's the first thing that should go up. The moment you earn more, the first thing you should change is not change apartments, upgrade your car or whatever. It should be, oh, I invest more, I can save more towards my future, I can retire earlier than I could before. And I really want you guys to take on this mentality for yourself, and because it's probably one of the biggest needle movers in my personal journey. Everything I do in terms of money is percentage wise, is just more helpful, and it gives you a good sense of like how you're faring. So these were my 5 tips and my 5 tools to, that got me to 105 these are my 5 tools that got me to £150,000 by age 29. And if I continue like this, I'm on track to become a millionaire just by my money invested in the stock market by age 40, which is not a bad thing. It's actually pretty incredible to think. And yeah, so hopefully this was helpful. I set up, one-on-one discovery calls that are free of charge on a ad hoc basis. So if you're interested and want to chat with me, then click the link below. And I'm now also on Substack. If you're interested on kind of hearing this or like seeing this in a written form, then follow me on there as well. And I will see you next week. Bye bye.